Hello and welcome to That British Homestead. My name's Nick and today we're going to be looking at things that we can sow in September. So let's get started. So it is so exciting that we've had a very long summer, but it is time to start that autumn garden, which is super exciting because we want to sow all year round. So let's have a look what we can sow. So let's start off with some of this stuff that you can start off in a cold frame or maybe like a low tunnel or a greenhouse, etc. or under conches. I can never say conches. So a great one to start now is spinach. Spinach is like really yummy. You can use it in sandwiches, salads. I really like it in sag paneer. I think that's like the best way to use it personally, but it's a really great one. And the thing is, if you sow it now, you can have it for over winter months. It will kind of go dormant, and then in spring it will boom into existence and give you a really early harvest and fill that hungry gap quite nicely. So you can actually sow early cabbages this time of year, such as April and early Durham. You know that I grew those last year, and they were really fantastic, and they were massive, absolutely the best cabbages that I grew all year. So it's really important to have things that overwinter and fill up a bit of space. I actually left those out under netted tunnels, like low tunnels, because of the birds, and it got down to -6 and they were absolutely fine. In the spring they kind of get a really big boost of growth, and then they're perfect and they're so much sweeter because I've had all of those frosts, and it gives you a lot of food in a short space of time, especially in that hungry gap, which I've really appreciated this year. I think I did really well with cabbages this year. Another one is pak choy. Pak choy is really great. You can even overwinter it. The only issue is, I overwintered it in the greenhouse, by the way, but the only issue is as soon as them days get a bit more elongated, you will get bolting. So you want to pull them out before we get into like really deep spring, or they will start to bolt. Really the end of March they need to be pulled, but they're great for baby pak choys, which are very, very yummy in stir fries and any sort of Asian style dish that you're doing. Really like makes the dish pop. It's that great texture you can't get from anything other than Asian greens. So there are tons of things that you can actually go ahead and sow outside in the world. Some of them will have to be covered because of the birds. Remember, as the birds run out of things to eat, they're not going to go, oh, okay, I'll just wait until spring then. They're going to have to eat all winter long. So it's best to cover most of your crops because the birds will really descend on your plot as it goes into the depths of winter, especially as you're not going to be there as much because the working day is going to be literally all the daylight you get, and you end up going down the allotment in the darkness, don't you? So lamb's lettuce is a type of lettuce. It's really great. It's really frost hardy and it takes the weather really well. It's something that you can sow now and get really well established so that you can have it for next spring and have a really early lettuce before the frost really tamper off. So if you're like me and you were really impressed with the old onions from seed, I'm going to be starting my onion from seed in September, which is really exciting. I've really enjoyed growing them this year, but I would like them to sort of go across winter and then kind of sprout, etc., and grow so that they're not this late in the year where I'm harvesting them, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and sow tons of them. Exceptional, I think, is what Expedition is what I grow this year, and I really loved it. Another one called Craig as well is a really lovely larger one. I'm going to probably concentrate on large bulbs, sort of Spanish onions and things like that, because I've really enjoyed those. They're a little bit sweet, but they also produce tons and tons of onion, because when you're canning you need quite a lot of them to go into the same dish. You want to put those in a really prepared bed and you'll be able to overwinter them within that seed bed. Any salad greens are really great to sow now. You'll be able to get baby leaves from them. You can even do pick and come again, so you just pick up the outside of the leaves. It's now cooling down. When it's getting too hot they do bolt, so it's when it's nice and cool like this is when you want to go ahead and make sure that you are picking the salads. making sure that you are sowing salads when it's not going to bolt, like now when it's cooling down. My perennial spinach is doing absolutely amazing this time of year. You can actually go ahead and sow it, but be careful how much you sow. You need a lot less than you think you do. My perennial spinach is a joke. It is literally just going 100% like smashed, but any of the leaves on the outside, they get too big, I just go ahead and give it to the chickens, and it makes a great treat. It makes their eggs really orange as well, so it's a win-win. And it's super frost hardy, so it lasts all winter long, and you don't even need to protect it, so it's really good for that. And you get less bugs in the winter, so it does. You have less weed pressure and less bug pressure, so it does make gardening a little bit easier, but a lot colder. You can also sow spring onions for next year. Start them off now and they'll be able to be really well established before you have them for spring next year. And if you only cut off the greens, they will grow back and you'll be able to cut and come again, which is a great way of just getting those green tips of your onions. Spring onions are really great, and they freshen up a lot of meals, especially soups and stews, which we kind of concentrate on when it comes to the winter months. One of my favourite things to grow is radishes, because radishes are really quite mild in the spring and the autumn. It's when they have less water in the hotter months, they get really fiery, and I dislike them like that. I like them really mild. So if you're like me and you like that, it's a great one to grow. I really like rainbow radishes, because rainbow radishes are really pretty and colourful. But another one that's really great is watermelon radish. I think they're very striking. So remember, if you don't like them raw, you can always try to bake them and see how that works out. You put them in soups and stews, all things like that throughout the winter. It only takes about 30 days. Remember, because the days are getting shorter, it will take a little bit longer. Now it's all going into the autumn, but it's way worth putting them in. And if you're going to sow undercover, to be honest, winter radishes are a great option as well. I like winter radishes. I think it was called Spanish Black, the one that I grew, and they look a lot like beetroots, and they were really fantastic. Turnips, also really frost hardy and really fantastic vegetable to grow in the winter months, and they make really great boiled and baked and stewed, etc., and put a little bit of a fresh crunch into what you're cooking. Now you can, I know it feels like we just pulled up our garlic, but you can go ahead and sow them now for a very early harvest. From now till the longest day, which is in December, I believe December the 21st, you can go ahead and sow your garlic and your onion sets. You can go ahead and do that this month so that you're able to have a really good start next year. You kind of want to use this time to get their roots really established, because then you get better growth over in spring when everything starts to warm up again. Now for next year, for next month, you do want to be making sure that you have, for next month you do want to make sure you're getting your orders in, things like your sweet peas. I did have a pod of sweet peas that I saved, but goodness knows where I put it. Onion sets, and of course those very special asparagus plants. They, once you've got them in, yes, you can't harvest for them for a couple of years, but they do last 20 years, which is an absolute bargain. I love asparagus, so it's really exciting for me when I see them asparagus plants sort of coming up and going into fruition throughout the years. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that we have a nice warm September, because I've still got so many crops in the ground that need to ripen up before the winter months set in. I'm so excited about that. How's your garden doing as it's so late? It's still August now, but it feels still a bit delayed, and I'm seeing a lot of growth on things like squashes and stuff as we go towards September, and I'm really excited to have them all ripen up before the cold weather hits, and it seems to have dried out really nicely and got some really nice warm weather. I hope that you are doing the same, and I hope you are keeping well, and if you haven't done already, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. One of my favourite things to grow is One of my favourite things to grow is radishes. I really like rhubarb.